What's up, everybody? Welcome to Season 2, Episode 9 of SportsCasters. We thank you for listening and hope you enjoy.
Before it slows up, before the window of opportunity closes up. I came, I saw, I conquered, I'm ball. Yeah. I came, I saw, I conquered, I'm ball. Yeah. Yo, we should get them, so I got them all. Yeah. And turn this bitch into a barrier.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Season 2, Episode 9 of SportsCasters. I'm your co-host, Makayla Evans. Our podcast is brought to you by Rells Revenge, Official Slim Dev Music, and SportsHouse. Today, I'm here with our founder, Chris Lyles Jr., our two sports analysts, Sterling Harris and Matthew Anderson, and we have a special guest, Jalen Tart, from the podcast GameChangers. So welcome, everybody, and thank you guys for tuning in. So we're going to dive right in, and we're going to start with the NBA and Russell Westbrook. Where do we think he might land? There's talks of him being traded.
There's a lot of talks I hear about him going to Charlotte, back to another – although Charlotte's a large market for, like, us in Columbia, like, in the grand scheme of things, it's a small market. And I was really kind of shocked to hear that. I thought if he ends up coming, it doesn't seem like he's trying to get a championship, I guess you would say. But how much control do y'all think that he'll have as compared to the organization for where he gets traded to?
I thought about this for the past day and a half. And I look at it in two mindsets. I look at it from an analyst perspective, looking at going back to what you were saying about him wanting to win. Charlotte is not where he needs to come. Let's just be honest. I love my team. I'm an avid Charlotte Hornets fan. But we are just not in championship status right now. We, may get a playoff, slim chance. But with him coming, we would possibly get a playoff chance. But in terms of a GM perspective, in terms of putting butts in seats from a marketing standpoint, I would sign Russell Westbrook so doggone fast, it's not even funny. Given, when you look at it from a money perspective, oh, my God, Russ is the best way to go. I mean, as far as from a marketing standpoint and attracting people to Charlotte. But in terms of winning, I've always thought about the pieces that we would have to get rid of. And giving up those pieces is like, oh, man, we having to give up, good quality pieces that are in the mix of us trying to rebuild. And then, getting Russ is like, okay, do we give up 2-3 guys who are solid and can grow, or do we give up, or do we try to get the guy who is like, okay, we could win now, but we got to do all of this to make us win in the long run. So I'm torn by it, honestly. I said no, but I'm like, I just don't know. I really don't.
Or you want to go ahead and get your thought?
No, you go. I'm still thinking.
So I'm on the fence with it too. Market-wise, Russell Westbrook is signed with Jordan, along with Michael Jordan. That's getting the butts into seats on the market standpoint. Now, on the player's perspective, it's not a bad move, but for right now, it's not the best move for the franchise. Yes, you got Devontae Graham, who I personally agree he should have been a candidate for most improved player for the Charlotte Hornets. And that would be an underrated backcourt.
He definitely should have won that award.
He should have won it. But it would be a underrated backcourt for the Devontae Graham learning off of Russell Westbrook. But at the same time, I don't see him going to the Charlotte Hornets. I possibly see him going to 3 teams: the New York Knicks, the Milwaukee Bucks, and the Phoenix Suns. Because they both have star caliber players on each team, and they have caliber coaches that can take those teams somewhere. I would say the Chicago Bulls, but the Chicago Bulls are still in the rebuilding stage. But at the same time, though, we'll see where Russell's going to go.
Milwaukee Bucks, I haven't heard of that one yet. But
I say Milwaukee because they've been wanting a third scorer for the longest. That's your third scorer. Aggressive, backyard bully in Russell Westbrook that can dish the ball. He could possibly be the triple-double machine again if he wanted to.
Here's the only caveat to him going to the Bucks. Now you have 2 slashers with limited shooters. When you look at it, it's like, okay, when you look at who Giannis is and what he needs, not taking anything away from Chris Middleton, but I feel like they need another spot-up shooter, preferably in the point guard position, just because of the way that offense runs. That offense pretty much runs through Milwaukee and Chris Middleton, pretty much. Not taking nothing away from Eric Bledsoe, but let's use Giannis. He's not cutting it. So getting a guy like Chris Paul, getting a guy like getting a guy like Devontae Graham, if he were to ever go out there, that would be a perfect situation because now you have somebody that, okay, Giannis can't get it done, kick it out to Devontae or kick it out to Chris.
So let me ask you this. Do you think CP3 would fit with the Charlotte Hornets?
No.
You don't think so?
I think personally.
Absolutely not. He would never go there. No.
Now, that's not to say he can't adjust to it. I mean, granted, if he could do the OKC, he could do it about doggone.
He can fit anywhere. He's just not going to Charlotte.
I just think he's not going to Charlotte. Right.
That's just not happening.
I would love to see it personally. Me personally.
I mean, he is from North Carolina. He
ain't going
fine with Jordan.
He ain't going there. Absolutely not.
Anything can happen. Anything can happen. We don't know.
I think given both Chris Paul and where Russell Westbrook are in their careers, it's like, look, I ain't got time to rebuild no more. It's like him leaving OKC was to get away from James Harden. That's the only reason why. But given it's like, look, I ain't got time to rebuild. I'm trying to win chips. So Russell Westbrook is like, look, if we're doing this my way. But when you clash Russell Westbrook with Michael Jordan, those are two bullheaded kind of people. Granted, yes, you signed to me, but you're going to still do what I say. And that's the part that I don't think Russell Westbrook, that's the kind of factor that people don't look into. When you have an owner, who is like, look, this is mine, and you got a player who is like, I don't care, that can clash. So Russell Westbrook, I agree with your picks. I agree with what you said, the Suns. What was the first one you said?
I said the Suns, the Bucks, and the Knicks.
I don't know about the Knicks.
There's only one place I agree with you that he can actually go to. That's the New York Knicks. Reason being because they're waiting for that next class, that next free agent class. So they get Russ in for a year. So they're building something with Thibodeau. They can draw a free agent there. That's the only one I agree with. The Suns, no. What the place you said?
I said
the Bucks.
The Bucks.
No disrespect to Russell Westbrook at all, because I love Westbrook. But what's the difference between Russell Westbrook in that offense and Eric Bledsoe in that offense? Absolutely nothing. So the only other place I can imagine him going.
Trade him.
I'm just saying there's no other difference. I mean, you're getting another dude that's a point guard, that's a slasher, predominantly not a spot-up shooter. That was a problem with Eric Bledsoe. That's why everybody thought they should have kept Malcolm Brogdon over him because Brogdon could shoot and play make better than Bledsoe. Now, there's only one place I think Westbrook can legitimately go and things might actually go the way you might want it to go. Only problem is we have too many young assets. That's Miami Heat. Reason being, all the Westbrook coaches don't got no rings. All the coaches Westbrook has had could not put out, documented footage of them being great, successful NBA championship winning level coaches. He had Scott Brooks. He had Billy Donovan, who, yes, he won in college, but in terms of the NBA, had won NBA. And he had Mark D'Antoni, who has come up short, more times than I can count on my fingers. So, if there's somebody that Westbrook might actually listen to on a consistent basis and follow their lead, it would be Pat Riley, the Godfather, and Eric Spoelstra. That would be it. Now,
so who would you give up to get him?
We're not doing the deal. I'm just saying.
Personally,
that's the only place I think he can actually go and things be successful, depending on. Of course, I think Tyler, Duncan, and Bam will be untouchable. And what might happen is the market for him might dip because people might not want to trade all this stuff for him. And then you might be able to get him for a pick and 3 role players and send them to Houston since they're rebuilding with Silas anyway. So we can, I think Tyler would be untouchable. Bam would be untouchable. Duncan would be untouchable. Oh, and Jimmy, of course. But, Gordon has an expiring contract. And the rest of the team is pretty much expiring. You can they're expendable, but those 5 I think are going to be stuck.
I'm interested to see how this plays out, see if any of y'all's predictions come true and see if y'all like where he lands, if he lands anywhere. So let's move on to a topic I've been waiting for is who is the best QB in the NFL right now?
It's really hard between Patrick Mahomes and Russell Wilson. It is really hard. I want to slight Patrick Mahomes on this, especially after Russell Wilson's performance last week. It's not Russell Wilson been making some poor decisions as far as throwing the ball these past couple weeks now. But I don't know. I feel like I got to go with Patrick Mahomes. I'm going to go with Patrick Mahomes, the arm talent, the magnificent man, the last year's – well, not last year's, but Super Bowl MVP from last year. So I'm going to go with him.
Go ahead, one of y'all boys. Because I got some
Go ahead,
stats.
man. Go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
Man, this is so easily Russell Wilson. It's not even funny. You know how many times a team has scored over 30 points on the Seahawks defense this year? Once. That was the Minnesota – oh, no, twice. The Minnesota Vikings and the Falcons, and they scored in the high 20s. So, to me, I understand Pat Mahomes is great. He can make every throw. He looks, mesmerizing. He's a magician, whatever. But Russell Wilson is carrying the biggest burden in the league. There's not another player whose second best receiver still isn't playing in Josh Gordon. Let's be honest. The second best receiver still isn't playing for the team. The defense is horrible. Kansas City's defense is top 10. They're horrible. Russell Wilson, for the Seahawks to have a chance to win any games this year, has to score plus 30. And he's still able to do that. So I can give him a week or two if he tries to do too much, end up turning the ball over. But goodness gracious, there's not another person on planet Earth that could carry the Seahawks where Russell Wilson carrying them. Pat Mahomes got it set. He got the best tight end in the league, top 5 receiver, good defense, good running game, 2 great coordinators. Well, the head coach and the OC, probably the 2 best play callers in the league right now. I'm not saying Pat Mahomes is bad, but can I see Pat Mahomes in Russell Wilson's situation and say, yeah, he can carry the Seahawks the same way? I don't know about that because the relationship wouldn't be there. And my personal opinion, Deshaun Watson had Pat Mahomes' team last year, was on the Chiefs. He won the Super Bowl too. It's just the situation you end up in. But Russell is the best QB in the league. Nobody can do what he's doing right now with that team. And he's going to mess around and win the Super Bowl and the MVP because of it. Because it's just blatant. He's carrying them.
I disagree with you on one point that you said with Russell Wilson. You can't expect Russell Wilson to be in shootout situations every week. That can't happen. You can't win a Super Bowl like that. Me personally, I do like Patrick Mahomes and I do like Russell Wilson. But there's one man that can outshine both of them right now. And that man is Aaron Rodgers.
Get him out of here.
That man is Aaron Rodgers. That man is Aaron Rodgers. The way this man has been playing, look. You threw 4 touchdowns and 367 yards the last game. No interceptions. Complete 68% of his passes. Like, come on.
Hold on. So this is what I have. I'm glad all 3 of y'all have 3 different QBs. I'm a stats kind of guy. I like to look at stats. I need to start looking
Give it to us, Matt.
But Patrick Mahomes, out of this whole season, has 25 touchdowns, 1 interception.
Right.
2 games under 100% QBR, which is when he played the Chargers, had 91%. He had 302 yards, 2 TDs, and 0 interceptions. Played the Raiders, had 84%, 340 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. That's Patrick Mahomes. Russell Wilson, 28 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. 2 games under 100% QBR. Played the Bills, 95%, 390 yards that game. Almost broke a 400. 2 TDs, 2 INTs. Played the Cardinals, had 84%, 388 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. Kind of a 50-50 kind of game.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Rodgers had 24 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. His worst game, hands down, throughout this whole season was against the Bucs. Had a QBR of 35%, 160 yards, 0 touchdowns with 2 INTs. I'll be honest, when I look at this and I look from a kind of a stat kind of guy, consistently, I'm going with Pat Mahomes. Because when I look at it, it's like, okay, when I see somebody who performed game, and has performed on a consistent basis, now take out the extra pieces of injuries and, just the whole dynamic of the team. At the end of the day, when you perform as a quarterback, you perform. I mean, given what you got. So, that's relative. But given what I see from Pat Mahomes, when you can throw 25 touchdowns and only throw 1 interception, dude.
Right. I will give him that credit.
Like, bro. I mean, I'm not taking anything away from Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers. But when I look at Russell Wilson, I look at that 8 interceptions, and I'm like, okay, how did you get those 8 interceptions? Was it a bad call, or was somebody dropped a pass? When I look at when he played against the Bills and the Cardinals, what transpired in those games to where it's like, okay, what happened? When I look at Aaron Rodgers, dude, your worst game was only one game, and we already in week 10. And that's like your worst game was going up against the Bucs, arguably a top 5 defense in the league. So it's like, okay, I see why you did that. But nonetheless, when I see somebody who's performed since game 1 up until now, has not missed a beat at all, given any kind of circumstances, I'm going with Pat. That's just not
Man, let me tell you, Pat Mahomes' defense, right? So, week 1, Texans, they give up 20 points. Week 2, Chargers, 20. The Ravens, 20. Patriots, 10. They lost to the Raiders. Bills, 17. Broncos, 16. Jets, 9. And the Panthers dropped 31 on them, and they still won the game. Now, Russell Wilson, the garbage he has had to deal with for this whole entire season, because my God, is he not just carrying Pete Carroll in Seattle to the promised land because he's so great, right? Yes. Russell Wilson has had the Falcons dropped 25, Patriots 30. We see the Patriots offense, haven't we? Patriots had 30. Cowboys 31. Dolphins 23. Vikings 26. Cardinals scored 37 and 1, and it took them overtime to beat Russell Wilson. Yes, he had some bad turnovers, but I mean, when you having to score every possession to keep you in the game, is going to happen. See, the 49ers, when they was hurt, I don't even know what had 27 on them still, and the Bills dropped 44. I mean, my God, can he get some help from his defense? I don't know that who be carrying their team like this.
Jamal Adams needs to step up. That's just plain and simple.
He just got back. He just got back last week. We'll see how they go moving forward. But he just got back last week.
Let's look Lord at it this way. The main argument that you presented was his defense. At the end of the day, when someone looks at league MVP, they don't go, oh, look at the defense. What did they do? They look at the person that they're nominating and what did that person do. Right. And that is the key thing when you think about I love
Russ Wilson on the Seahawks, and where are they? What is their record?
Wilson, and I don't want to take nothing from him. And I've said in plenty of episodes, it's like Russell Wilson. But when you go back and you look at it from a analysis standpoint, you go back and you look at film, it's like, dude, that's tough. I could see it going either way between the two, Russell Wilson and Pat Mahomes. Aaron Rodgers, he could sneak him in, but I honestly see it going to Pat just because Pat is that dude right now. You can't take nothing away from Pat.
Take Russell Wilson off the Seahawks. What is their record?
They're probably a little bit less than 500.
Yeah. A little.
They'll be under 500.
A little less than 500.
The offense will be bad and the defense.
Now look.
They'll be the next Atlanta Falcons.
Now take Pat Mahomes off the Chiefs. They probably have the same record depending on who you replace him with. Alex Smith still had him in the divisional playoff round. Matt Moore still won 2 games last year when he wasn't playing. There's a lot of stuff Pat Mahomes – he's great, but there's a lot of stuff he got going for him. Russell Wilson got that same luxury, and he got his team right up there with all the great teams in the league because he's the quarterback of that team. That's the only reason the Seahawks.
The Seahawks defense is it injuries or is anybody out? Because that's a big kicker right now because of COVID and all injuries and all that.
They can't create pressure with their front four. And Jamal Adams just got back last week. He had some bad penalties and some bad plays in his first game back. I think they'll be fine going forward, but they can't generate any pressure with their front four right now. Everything has to come in a zero blitz basically for them to get pressure.
I agree.
So because you're blaming it on the front four, that in a way, I'm not gonna say diminish. What's the opposite of diminish? That kind of, I guess, that makes Russell Wilson's case better because of the front four of the defense. I'm confused.
It's like I'm saying, like I don't see a quarterback that can be in Russell Wilson's situation and where he has no defense. His second best receiver still hasn't touched the field yet in Josh Gordon. He's turned DK Metcalf into a probable top 5 receiver, right? And he's working with 2 old tight ends. In a running back crew that's, they're good. They're serviceable, but are they really breaking anything? No. And the defense is horrible. I don't see another quarterback that can step in his shoes right now and still have the Seahawks at 6-2 with 3 game-winning drives in 1 year. Right now, I don't see that happening. See
Russell Wilson actually getting it though. Let's take out it from a football perspective. Look at it from a marketing perspective. is Russell Wilson going to get it? I don't think so.
Yes. Like, for me, most valuable player is, if I take you off this team, where is this team? If I take Russell Wilson off the Seahawks, they're a lottery team. You take Pat Mahomes off the Chiefs, they're still in the playoffs. You take Green Bay, I'd rather have Aaron Rodgers in this list above Pat Mahomes. I feel like you can't take him off the Packers because he makes the Packers. I don't think LaFleur's doing a great job. He's there, but I don't think he's doing the greatest thing in the world. I think Pat Mahomes and that offense and those two guys calling plays and those people he got thrown the ball to and the defense he has, you can replace him with a backup for 4 weeks and still win over half of your games. Russell Wilson's off the Seahawks. They're done.
They're done.
I think
I see what you're saying with that point, because if you take Patrick Mahomes off that team, they're going to still have that offensive core, and they're still
scoring 30.
That defensive core to win you games, regardless of who the quarterback is.
Yeah, I think Russell Wilson will mess around and get the MVP this year. And also, it'll be somebody different. He's been on TV a lot more this year than the years past. Like, we all know about Patrick Mahomes. That's why they keep winning. And people, I mean, they're talking about the Chiefs, but not really. So I think Russell Wilson will get the MVP this year. But if it came down to it, I don't know. I might have to go with the man from Texas.
Let Russ cook.
I just want to say this, though. Watch out for the younger generation quarterbacks in the league right now. They are putting on a show, doing what they got to do.
Kyler Murray on the way.
Kyler Murray, Tua, Joe Burrow, and Justin Herbert.
Them boys.
I'm glad. I'm so happy. No.
As I said, the next generation.
Don't say that name. Don't say Josh Allen, please. Don't do that. No.
We'll have to save the next generation talk for another podcast, because I'm sure we could go on and on about who we think is the best in the next generation. But very interesting point of views. I'm a stats person, so I'm kind of on not Matt's side, sorry. Well, I guess I am on your side, Matt. But Chris is sad when we talk about stats. But okay, so we're going to go into our last topic. I know Chris brought up COVID, and I feel like it's so hard to have these conversations about sports without bringing up COVID now. And so we're looking at the NCAA, and will the cancellation of recent games affect the college playoffs? And we've seen the cancellation of a few games. So we have Alabama versus LSU, which has been canceled. Texas A&M and Tennessee has been canceled, as well as Georgia and Missouri. So what are y'all thoughts on that about COVID affecting the college playoffs?
I think the COVID is really probably going to knock the Pac-12 out of having a chance to compete, because they're probably not going to play that many games. I see I think in the Big Ten you have to play 6 conference games to go to have a Big Ten championship or to play in it. But everybody knows Ohio State, just off eye test, one of the top teams in the country. I also think it kind of saving Ohio State a little bit too, because you're not going to get any of these upsets. Like, let's say Maryland with Tua's younger brother is going to go and maybe do an upset alert this week against Ohio State. That's not happening. So you're keeping the guys fresh. But I did see this thing where Ryan Day, the head coach for Ohio State, has said that he would almost rather what did he say? He's like, he would rather play the non-conference game than take this week off. But I don't think it'll affect the SEC or the Big Ten, but I think it's going to knock the Pac-12 out altogether.
I think it's a good point you mentioned. It's really based off conference in terms of what that looks like going forward as far as building the college playoffs. Is it a case where you literally just have straight SEC teams in the college playoff? Who knows? We'll see. I don't think it'll get to that extreme, but it's something to think about. I think for the Pac-12, that's a good point you mentioned. They just started playing, and now you're canceling games already. You might as well just cancel this whole season. To be honest, the Big Ten is kind of like in that middle. It's like, we just started, but we've been playing for a little minute. So it's like, I can see that it really depends on how the conferences, how they play out. I think it's just really coming down to how many games are going to get canceled in the future, and what does that look like in the future in terms of playing in the college playoffs for those different conferences.
I agree. It all depends upon the conference. Like you said, the Pac-12, having a limit to the games doesn't really affect them being into the playoff. But it's more going to be to where you're going to have more SEC teams in the playoff, like how it usually been for the past few years. But it's kind of tough because we're living in a society to where we have to wear masks and we have to socially distance and then like close contact and whatnot. Games are getting postponed left to right. Either way, if the Alabama LSU game was to be played, we already know what the outcome was going to be.
Yep.
We already knew what the outcome was.
was over before
Same with Georgia, Missouri. We knew what the outcome was going to be. So it's like those games didn't really matter in the long run. What matters? Go ahead.
Don't sleep on Missouri. Sleep on Missouri if you want
to. Missouri did beat LSU. I'll give them that.
Georgia ain't got a QB right now. The defense.
I mean, but at the same time, though, it will be an interesting playoff because whoever wins the playoff will have a sole possession of winning the championship in a pandemic, just like with the NBA bubble. Since the Lakers won in the bubble, they won the championship in the bubble. So it's going to be weird, but I'm excited to see what's going to happen though.
Yeah, I like y'all's points. I don't know why you even brought up the Pac-12. They wasn't making the playoff anyway. Let's just be honest. That wasn't – look, the college football playoff committee would rather put in a 3-loss SEC team than a Pac-12 team. I mean, stop the presses. But I mean, honestly, the Big Ten and SEC, ACC, they're going to be fine regardless. I feel like, the cancellations are horrible, but I think what they're going to do was that LSU game I don't think is going to ever be played because since I think that's their second cancellation in this week. And I saw how the commissioner's been going through, when they make up these games, they're saying they might be made up the week of the conference championships. Alabama's going to be in the conference championship. So I don't think LSU is going to play Alabama this year at all. I mean, they might reschedule it, but, depending on where they put it, if Alabama wins the West, which they will do, they're not playing. But, really, I think the only conference that really suffers from this, if they have any cancellations more, is the Pac-12 because they started so late and they wasn't going to make the playoff anyway. But Big Ten, Ohio State's going to be there. Clemson and Notre Dame will be there. And Bama will be there.
I don't know Notre Dame. I don't know about that because they will have to play in the ACC championship.
Yeah, but their one loss, comes to the team they beat earlier?
I mean, that's like you saying. That's like you saying if Florida beats Alabama, Florida will be in the playoff while Alabama's at number 4.
No, I'm saying. What's up?
You see
I see what you're saying, but I'm already saying Bama's beating Florida in the championship game. The only other team I can see is A&M if they run the table. A&M runs the table, they got a shot. Maybe.
I mean, A&M's not playing Alabama, so if they can win, they're not going to the playoff. I'm just gonna say that right now.
I want to sleep on A&M.
Okay, so let me ask y'all this. So Florida loses Alabama in a close game. And then Notre Dame loses to Clemson in a close game. Who goes in that number 4 spot to the playoff?
Let me see.
Notre Dame.
Because that'd be a 2-loss.
Because Notre Dame would be a 1-loss team.
Yeah, I'm saying that'd be a
Notre Dame would be
and a 1-loss Notre Dame.
Yeah, Notre Dame would be in. Yeah.
Ooh, there'd be some mad SEC fans in games.
Now Florida win, and now personally, I think Notre Dame's gonna get blown out the second time they play Clemson. So depending on how the optics look, that could bounce a certain way because they're like, well, you just got blown out by a team that has Trevor Lawrence this time, that has Mike Jones Jr., that had their crew, assuming everybody comes back healthy and plays in the second time. So it could get dicey. Maybe the committee decides this year is too difficult. Let's just expand the playoff.
Yeah,
that's what they should have done. It should have been 6 teams instead of 4 teams in the
4 conference champions, depending on how they play, and then 2 at-larges. Yeah, I think A&M would appreciate that. They say if their argument is, well, we ran the table, we blew out all these other teams we're supposed to blow out, and our only losses to the SEC undefeated champions Bama. I mean, where's our case? I mean, we lost to 1 team, and even then, that game wasn't really that bad. When you watched it, the score looked bad, but if you watched the game, it wasn't that bad of a game. So,
right,
A&M could have a case there.
I really want to see them restructure the way to like the Cinderella team, like a BYU or somebody would get it. Even if they want to get blown out, I would like to see it. I like to see those schools with the opportunity to play in the playoff. They're talking about expanding. I know we're about to have to go, but what were y'all thoughts about Notre Dame storming the field after the big win last week?
Oh, God.
That was uncalled for. That it's a boom in the state of Indiana. That's increasing the COVID cases right there. They haven't gotten tested yet, so
I know I was watching the game. Lord, yeah, I was watching the game. Me and Sterling were watching it, and I was just excited they beat Clemson. But Sterling was like, "Get them off the field! What are they doing?" So they'll definitely get fined for that. That is a good point to. Well, I think that's a good point to wrap up on. So thank you guys for coming on. Thank you, Jalen, for coming on. And as always, thank you, Chris, Sterling, and Matt. Y'all go check out Jalen's podcast, GameChangers. And our podcast is brought to you by Rells Revenge, Official Slim Dev Music, and Matt's SportsHouse. So y'all stay tuned next week for our final episode of Season 2, which is Episode 10. This podcast is brought to you by Matt's SportsHouse, Official Slim Dev Music, and Rells Revenge. Stay tuned next week for our final episode of Season 2. See you then.